So let's use this comment to elaborate on the expenses associated with marriage in the African context. So this person is saying that in Nigeria, they have the traditional marriage, the silver wedding, and then the white wedding. And that can be expensive. And it is the type of opulence that Nigerians tend to portray in their wedding ceremonies that pushes most Nigerians to do anything to get money at all cost. And so this culture of publicly showing you have money through the type of wedding you have in Nigeria have also pushed a lot of people to try and get money at all cost. That, I believe, has promoted some type of negative stereotypes when it comes to Nigerians. And again, I'm saying this as a Ghanaian who love Nigerians, okay? I'm not saying this to bash Nigerians, but I'm saying this culture of opulence tend to push people to do anything to get money and to also show that, yes, they can be lavish. Also, it is the cultural expectation that is placed on the man or the groom to pay and fund all these marriage ceremonies that pushes African men to believe that they own you when they marry you. When you are expecting an African man to pay for the traditional marriage, which includes a bride price, to pay for the silver wedding or the white wedding and the related costs associated with white wedding these days, these men begin to think they've bought you and they own you. Some time back, I met a very handsome Nigerian guy, and he's like, "Oh, Zita, if I go and pay your bride price now me own you, now me get you." I'm like, "Excuse me. Because of bride price, now you own me and now you get me." So please, dear Africans, especially to my African sisters, manage your expectations. Marriage is not about the ceremony. It is the preparations you have prior to getting married. Marriage is about the quality of the spouse you choose before the ceremony. So focus on choosing the person that is right for you. Focus on investing in premarital counseling by a professional, not the shabby, shallow, so-called religious marital counseling that your pastors provide. Most of your pastors do not have any credentials in counseling or in therapy for them to be able to counsel you through marriage. So please, dear young Africans, invest in seeing a certified marriage counselor prior to getting married. Also, put together systems on conflict resolution, effective communication, and financial management. These are important things for you to focus on. Do not go and invest in several marriage ceremonies and waste money, and at the end of the day, you will be fighting over money, and these African men will begin to think that because they paid your bride price and they paid for a lavish white wedding, they've bought you or they own you. Dear African men, the bride price does not mean that you've bought a wife. The bride price, based on a cultural understanding, is compensation for the bride's labor and her fertility. So please, dear young Africans, marry according to your budget. Marry according to your family background. Do not do more than your financial capacity. Do not go and take loans to have a wedding simply to trend on Bella Naija or Ghana weddings. Please marry according to the size of your pocket. Finally, I have also seen a few comments under the video saying that, oh, it is our pastors and the churches that force us into doing a white wedding. Any pastor or any church forcing you and making the white European wedding mandatory, let the church pay for it. Because the white wedding is not a Christian marriage. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It is white people's culture, okay? So any church or pastor forcing you to have a white wedding and does not recognize the traditional African marriage, let them pay for it. If not, you need to be changing your church immediately. Please do not get me wrong. I am not telling you that if you have the financial resources and you come from a wealthy family or a very financially stable family and your family want to fund and sponsor your wedding so both families can celebrate, do not do it. I am not saying that. I am telling the majority of young Africans to marry according to the size of their pocket. This idea of having multiple wedding ceremonies is expensive, and at the end of the day, it creates the impression that the groom has bought the bride. And as a result, it can be a breeding ground for abuse in the marriage. I am just saying. At the end of the day, do what works for you, but remember that the marriage is not the ceremonies you have. It is not the amount of money you spend on your wedding. It is the quality of the spouse you choose and the preparations you have put into the relationship prior to the marriage. My name is Dr. Zita. I am a sociologist. If you're not following, guess what? Hit the follow button